What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Infamous Info. In this video I'm going to show you how to master your track in Pro Tools.
Like nothing I ever played, girl. I'll just write to you my letter, and I will say to you so you can't ever throw away. Like nothing I ever played, girl. I'll just write to you my letter, and I will say to you so you can't ever throw away.
So you won't need any outboard gear, any compressors, limiters that plug in externally, none of that. It's all done through Pro Tools. You can do it in your other DAWs. Before we jump into it, if possible, get some monitors, a couple sets of them if you can, just to reference through, but you definitely need a decent set of studio headphones. So something that gives a flat delivery of sound. You don't want to accentuate any bass or treble. So as long as you got that, then you're good to go. Okay, first step, it's probably a good idea if you organise all your tracks together. Keep your instruments, colour code them, vocals, colour code them as well. Set yourself up so that your workflow's easy to manage and you're not going to get confused along the way. Next step, make sure that if you do have any edits, that they are all crossfaded. Keep it all clean to make sure that you're not going to have any artifacts come through once you've turned your volume up, and there's a high chance of that. You're going to hear every little detail, any impedance or interference. So make sure your EQs are set, so once you turn everything up you won't hear any imperfections. Once you're set up with that, at the end of each section, so these are all my instruments in green, go ahead and create another stereo track. Alright, and label it instruments underneath the instruments area. Label your vocals, vocal group. So what this is for, we'll come back to it later, but we're going to record all our tracks into individual 2-track recordings, so that way we can get rid of any plugins that we have. It'll free up CPU usage. The reason I do this is I'll save my bounce or my render right to the very end once the master's ready to export. So set yourself up something to record each section down. So once you have that, we'll come back to it. Just leave them free. At this stage, all your tracks have probably got plugins and mixed so that you're pretty satisfied with how it's sounding, and you want to just turn the volume up. So before you get to that, you want to chuck in a compressor, any sort, whatever you're happy with, whatever you think's quality. Just get that first compressor in on your master. Okay, we won't keep it on there. This is just so you have an idea on how everything sounds once you start pushing it. So this compressor is gonna just attenuate slightly, and that way it glues it all together. So any compressor, I'm using L3. Then chuck in some sort of harmonic enhancer. I'm using Aphex AX. It's pretty good, modelled off of a outboard piece of gear, so it gives a lot of warmth and sparkle, but you can ruin it and put too much top end with this plugin, so it's nice if you use it right. Okay, after that I've got max bass, good for vocals, good for a little bit of depth in the instruments. This is an acoustic track, it's got a bit of guitar, so yeah, it just gives a nice bit of warmth to the mix, but you don't want to touch it too much. And finally, multi-band compression EQ. This slot usually is used to polish off a mix. Alright, so it gives it a lot more sparkle. If you have any problem areas, then you can control it from this. Now the reason it's on a master bus, master channel, is because once you get it to attenuate slightly again, then you can raise your ceiling or your limit. Alright, now I've got about 4.5 dB of reduction, so there's still a lot of headroom in the mix, but it just brings it out and blends everything that you've put together. So I've just raised a little bit of the mid-low frequencies and then rounded it off as it gets up to the 8, 9, 10 mark. Once you think you got your mix right, when you end up lifting the sound and boosting it, you can trip yourself up with how sharp it's getting or how deep it gets. And when you turn it right up, then all your imperfections start coming out. So it's good to put all these different plugins on your master, play it back. You might have sounded good before, but when you raise the level, then you start hearing things that are out of place. So it's important to do that. So I'll just play a quick little part of this. Okay, that was like an original mix. Then including these few plugins, it just lifts everything up and makes it shine. Okay, so you can see how it's made things a lot cleaner and lifted the sound. It's all sort of blended in a bit better. Now this is only the second stage. We've put these there so we know that if it sounds out of place once you've turned it right up from your master plugins, then you can just quickly go back, change what you need to, listen to it back. Alright, now you're happy. This is where we come back to the group tracks where we set up earlier. Now because the plugins on the master are going to take a bit of CPU, you've got all these different plugins. You don't want anything to glitch or no artifacts showing up during your process of recording. So what we'll do, we'll set it up so each instrument, they're going to record straight into this one instrument section. So from the input we'll go to bus, and I've already got one bus stereo set up called instrument bus. Alright, you can go ahead and rename it whatever you like. So that's the input. Then with the outputs, I'm going to set up for the outputs of each of the instruments to go into the instrument bus. Okay, now you see all these instruments are all outputting into the input of the instrument track, and that's through your busing. Okay, so all those will record into here. All the chorus vocals will then go into the vocal group using the vocal group bus. Okay, so once you've got these recording tracks ready, arm them. So you've got one for your instruments, one for your vocals, one for effects, or however you want to go about it. Get them ready, arm them, and then we'll be ready to start recording them down. That way it'll save your CPU, you won't need your plugins after that, and then you'll have much more computer power to do the mastering process. Now on your master channel, just bypass everything and go ahead, start recording them down. Okay, so there you have it. You've got however many tracks or however many pieces to your project. You just want to record them down, so just make sure before you go any further, if you've got any auxiliary tracks that you got any plugins on, or say for instance a reverb for your vocals or something like that, you want to do the same thing. Set up an audio track, bus out your auxiliary track, and then bus that to another recording track, record down all your effects, and that way you won't need any of your auxiliaries either. So now that you've got everything recorded, you're saving yourself a lot of CPU. You got no more need of all these plugins, and you can just focus on whatever plugins you're going to use in your master track. Not done yet. We're up to the next stage. Before you get too crazy and delete and stuff, which we're about to do, just save it, that you can always go back to it. So what we'll do, just go ahead, select everything with plugins on, keep your tracks that you just recorded, so delete everything with your instruments and their plugins, vocals and their plugins. Do that until you freed everything up. Okay, you've got all your original tracks sounding exactly like they did with the plugins, only you're not using any plugins, they're all recorded as how they sounded, so you're gonna have minimal chance of any glitching or artifacts throughout your master and recordings. Now you got your master and you got them plugins, so everything here all works. Now just give it a listen with the plugins added. That sounds exactly the same. Yeah, and you got those 4 tracks plus your EQ. Okay, now next step, you don't want these plugins on your master. So what you're going to do, very similar process, create a new track, a stereo, audio track. Alright, this one, name this one your sub master. And then just above it, create an auxiliary track. Stereo, auxiliary. Call this one sub master aux. Same, go to your input bus. Now set this one up and name it sub bus. So you can just hold down Alt. Set all your outputs to that sub bus. Go ahead and mute sub master. Now everything that you've recorded down goes to your auxiliary track, which is the sub bus. Now what happens from there, we create from the sub master bus input. We'll call this one the 2 track. And output it to 1 and 2. We'll bus the auxiliary to the 2 track. Now when everything records, it's going to go from the instruments through to the auxiliary. The auxiliary is where you put all your master channel plugins that we originally started with. Over here, the submaster auxiliary is set dead at 0. Alright, so we haven't touched that, and that way it keeps it on the digital scale where ideally you want to be mastering at. So from the auxiliary, we're going to record straight into your submaster 2 track, and you won't have any processing on that, but all your tracks here with their old plugins that have been recorded are going to have those extra finishing touches from what was on your master track, and then we'll record all of that into your submaster 2 track. Alright, just go ahead and press record. Now you can see we've recorded everything we had, including those plugins that were on the master originally, from the auxiliary submaster into the 2-track submaster. You can see it's got like a smooth line, plenty of headroom. Now we've got a bit of room to play with. This is where you start getting your sound turned right up with no chance of any clipping or anything like that. So I use the L316. Now because I use that other multi-band EQ compression, I don't really need to use this too much, but you can use this. I just find it's really touchy, and I prefer to just work cleanly with this and use it as its compression and its limiting. So I'll go ahead and just play back the track through it. And then I'll start bringing down the threshold. Till I see a little bit of attenuation. And then it's 5 dB. Alright, so I'm going to boost it up. Yeah, this isn't compression my track too much. You can see on the output there's no clipping. It's just coming up. So I've got 0.3 limiting without the threshold compression affecting my mix. Bypass it. So that's the difference. Okay, it's up to you if you want to bounce from here, but I prefer to have no plugins on my finished product, and then I'll go ahead and bounce. So what I'll do now, I'll just show you an example of how the track looks, recording that track down. So same procedure. I'll call this the master track bus, and then in on that track. Name this one the master, and then we'll go ahead, click record on this. It's plug-in free, and you'll see the difference in the waveform. Okay, there you go. You just recorded your master. And you can see the waveform's a lot thicker. Zooming in, you haven't clipped anywhere, and you still got a little bit of headroom there. So that's what you're after in a master track. You can go ahead, before you delete anything, just save in case you need to go back. Now you can go ahead and delete all your recorded tracks from before. There you go. Now all you need, a dynamics processor. So you don't really need this, but anything that has dither. So you just place that on there, change from 24 bits down to 16, and then that is CD quality. Then you're ready for your ISRC codes and whatever you need to register for the final process of mastering. Now we'll just bounce, disarm them, select the area, Control Alt B, go ahead, bounce it, add MP3. You don't need to change the bit depth because you got the dither plugin. Click bounce, fill in all your tags, do whatever, label it however you want. So go ahead and do that, and then you're ready for your ISRC codes. Okay, so for these codes you have a few different options. Now if you're in Australia, you need to look at APRA AMCOS. They can direct you to ARIA, or you can just go straight www.aria.com.au. You email them, they'll send you some codes, and there'll be a little cost to it, but you know, if you want to get paid for your music, you need to do this. And then APRA, they'll be the organisation that tracks it, and then you'll get your royalties through that. That's in Australia. The equivalent to that is harryfox.com. That's in the US. So look them up. If not, rightsflow.com. So you can get more information on these places. But that's how you get your IRC codes in different areas. Now, if you want to do it yourself, you got your code, you want to embed it into your music, you probably need to look at getting this software. Look up MP3 tag. So this will give you the option to put your tags in, and then embed your codes or whatever other information you want to put in. Then you can upload it to whatever sites you like. So download that. There's other videos that will help you through the process of it, so I can include that in on the link down at the bottom in the comments section. And if not, just do a search on MP3 tags. And also CD Baby. If you look that up, what they do is you send them your music, they will do it for you. And they're actually not too costly to do it, so you're probably best off at this stage just getting at least a 6-track or 5-track compilation, whatever. But it's cheaper as you do more songs. Send them to them, they'll embed it and then put it onto obviously their site, and yeah, that's pretty much what you need. But they're the different options that you got. You can probably do a bit more research and look up more, but at this stage you want to be embedding this codes into your music. That way it can get tracked, that way you're going to get paid for it, and happy days. So I hope this video was helpful. If it is, share it around and give us some feedback. Any questions, let us know. So thanks for joining us. That's how you master your track, embed codes, and happy days. Alright, thanks for joining us. This is Infamous Info. Catch you up next time.